All right, folks, here it is. Just a quick note on the new to me Sprinter I just got to replace my 2014 that got eaten by Ian, my favorite hurricane. Kidding. As I mentioned, my 14 got flooded. It was basically mint. It only had 78,000 miles. Just got done doing the water pump and new tires, and Ian flooded it out and destroyed it with the salt water. So obviously, I had some insurance on it, which was good and thankful. They did right by us somewhat, but these things are incredibly expensive now and hard to replace and impossible to find. Every Sprinter I've gotten, which this is the third one, I had a 2008 Dodge six-cylinder turbo, the extended monster, which was also a crew. And then I had the 2014 that I just lost 6 months ago in the hurricane. That was a crew 170 wheelbase, not extended, and that was the four-cylinder turbo, which was good, other than the diesel turbos tend to be a little bit of a headache here and there. However, and this is the 2022 extended, 170, not extended, 170, not a crew, just a cargo, but with the crew windows, which gives you the faux crew. So I don't have the bench seat, which kind of sucks, because I really wanted those mounts, even though I kept the seat from my old one, in hopes of maybe getting another van. This took me forever to find, and it wasn't exactly what I wanted, obviously, but they're just so darn expensive. I decided to pull the trigger on this and deal with pretty much an empty van. See, I don't have the rails to mount my seat, and even the rails differ from 14 to 22, so I can't even use my existing seat that is still in the garage. So I'll just be continuing to try to sell it. So I did get the windows, which I wanted. I kind of like going with the gray. My previous one was white. The gray makes it a little different. Maybe I look like an Amazon driver. I don't know. Somehow they sold it to me without headrests, which I did catch before. So I got them to give me headrests at their cost. The dealer, I bought it at a Dodge dealer, actually. It was a trade-in, a barely used trade-in. This thing's had 4,300 miles on it, and it's a 2022. And I got a little bit more bang for the buck than the 21s, which were really plentiful, maybe because of the 2-year lease tradebacks. But I got a little bit more than the local one. I had to go all the way to Daytona for this, which is 5 hours for me, roughly, from the Fort Myers area. But what happened is the 21 white cargo had no glass. It was a year older, and it had a few more miles. The miles were insignificant. It had about 8,000 miles, but he still wanted the same price out the door. So this one, I got a few bonuses. I got a year newer, few less miles, basically half, 4,300 miles, and a color of gray and the glass, which is nice. My basic requirements were I wanted cruise control, which my 14, incidentally, I didn't even know how I bought it without cruise control. I thought they all had it, but they didn't. But I installed the cruise in my 14, which I have videos for. This one has the cruise. What was the kicker on this one? Oh, it's a gas. Okay, here's the funny thing about these things. When I hunted for my last one, I bought my 14, I think, in 19. I think I bought it in summer of 19 or 18. So anyway, there really were no gas ones to look at that point. They were not, maybe they were around, but I never even really heard of them that much. I kind of heard it rumored that they were coming, but I never saw any. So I never even thought to think that the inline 4 was a gas motor. So here I am looking at that 21 cargo white one, and it says, 4-cylinder turbo, and I'm thinking it's exactly my 2014 diesel. Well, it wasn't. So I get out of the van, and lo and behold, on the gas tank, on the other side, there's the flap right there. It says, unleaded gasoline only. I'm like, what? And I'd already started it, sat in it, and listened to it, and I still thought it was the little diesel, because they almost sound a little diesely. But okay, so I was like, oh, I don't want no gas motor in my Sprinter. I gotta have diesel. Well, the diesel did give me the headaches, the DEF, and I literally just did my water pump before it got destroyed in Ian for $2,000 out of my pocket. And what else? Oh, you get that, my 2008 Dodge Sprinter with the 6-cylinder turbo, that ERG valve got me in North Carolina on the way to New York halfway. So I had to go to the dealer and spend $1,100 on the ERG valve, whatever that was. So out of those two repairs, I'd spent, $3,200 plus the headaches and the, trying to figure out what the hell's wrong with the thing. So long story short, they were a little annoying, the diesels. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the way that little 4-cylinder diesel ran, and the V6 was great too. But the 4-cylinder I really liked. The torque, the pull, the cruise worked great with the diesel. And, I drive like an animal normally, but the little diesel made me drive like a human being, which I appreciated because it keeps me from getting in trouble with tickets and things. So with the little diesel, you're forced to drive like a human being, and there's no zipping around in those things. So that was a bonus. However, and after I just got everything dialed in and fixed before the hurricane there, I was excited about, the long life of my diesel ahead of me. Well, that got cut short, and I got out of that gas, and I went back and test drove the gas locally, and I was like, wow, this feels really good. It's silent, the motor. It's zippy kind of around town, in a sense, zippy compared to the diesel. And it was super smooth, and that 9-speed shifts great. And I was like, I'm impressed. So I tried to get up to 65 miles an hour and feel what it was going to be like. And I'm like, oh, I'll bet it's going to suck down gas when it gets any load, which I guess in a sense it may. And I was afraid of that, but then I was like, oh, the ease and simplicity of gas, no stink, no dirty pumps. Every time you go to the diesel pumps, half the time they're dirty, filthy. You're standing in oil and cat litter and shit like that. So I did convert to gas, which I was surprised because I do like a diesel engine, but I don't like the diesel headaches and the expense of fixing them. So I did go gas. This is a tried and tested motor. I think it's in their Metris and a million other vehicles, probably in Europe. It's turbocharged. It feels quite good. I don't think I'm going to get the mileage out of it. My first test was yesterday. I just got this thing yesterday, just picked it up, and I drove, 5 hours back in it. But I got 18 miles a gallon. Of course it bullshits you. Excuse me. It says, oh, you're going to get 21, 22, 23, 25, even on the sticker. I think Mercedes might be in for another class action suit when they find out that nobody's getting anywhere near the mileage that they stated. Because that class action suit on the diesel actually saved my butt, because I got a check for over $3,500, which, as you know, I just mentioned, covered both of my repairs, the $2,000 water pump and the $1,100 EGR valve repair for the previous Sprinter. So that helped, that big check that I got when I owned the 14. Now, this one, hopefully I won't have many class action suits, but I'm not going to get the mileage. I was bone stock empty driving back from Daytona 5 hours, and I got, I hit the traffic and the stop and go and all that crap, and I got 18. And that's more realistic. It's, that's actually pretty good, as we know, for a vehicle this size. My Tundra right there through the glass, 2005 V8, doesn't get that. It gets like probably 15 or 16 at best. And it's a much smaller vehicle. So I guess we can't complain about 18 on a big vehicle like this. But anyway, I do digress. So long story short, I did go gas. I'm going to give it a whirl. I'm happy with the way the motor feels. You set the cruise at 75, 76, and you can cook along. You will start chowing gas at those speeds. But, that's Florida speeds. You got to be able to do 78, basically, 77, 78 on a regular basis all day long. Now, I'm unloaded. As soon as I start throwing motorcycles in here and trying to insulate the noise out of it, the worst thing about this vehicle is the noise, the drummy noise that this empty cargo space makes. I mean, my previous one had, at least the cheap plastic paneling there and deadened some of the noise, I guess. And it had a little bit more substantial floor, too. This is literally just that composite wood thing or whatever. Mine had the rubber liner thing over that, I guess. And I had glass in the rear. This one obviously doesn't, so I'm missing that glass. There are some design changes and updates. Some are good, some are bad. I will go through those in the next video, but I just wanted to say hello and show you the new 22 to me. I know it's a year old or whatever, but they're basically the same. So if you're thinking about going gas, I'm going to say, after all my research, you could go for it if you're not towing big things and hauling real heavy loads. But if you do, then you're just going to get worse gas miles. Now remember, was a lot cheaper than diesel, and of course, that was part of my decision over the last few months. And then, of course, as I buy this thing, I'm looking at the prices of fuel as I'm driving by the pumps, and it's like diesel's now down to under $4, and gas is like $3.65 or something. So there literally was like a 30-cent difference now, and I'm like, damn, maybe I should have considered the diesel again, just for the torquiness of hauling along at 75 miles an hour with a bit of a load, which I only carry like 3 bikes at the most, so maybe it's 1,000 pounds, if that. More like 800 pounds probably, because they're dirt bikes mostly. But I do want to put a big bench seat or something comfortable in here, and I want to insulate it. But I hope that helps you guys a little bit. I will make some more videos shortly, and I'll show you some of the design differences and some of the pros and some of the mistakes that Mercedes continues to make, which are bizarre, and where they spend money, which to me is a little bizarre considering what I think the consumer would want. Anyway, hope that helps. Don't hesitate to hit me up if you have any questions about what, when you're making your decision, or any questions about the van. Talk to you later.